41. Extra chapter. Meow, Cyrene and Chi Meow Meow exchanged a quick look and silently hatched a plan to reveal the mysterious figure's true identity. A moment later, Chi Meow Meow leapt gracefully to the ground and darted toward where the black-robed group stood. What neither of them realized was that the black-robed group was embroiled in an argument. Hey, did you see that, Polixia? Cypher muttered. Your sister isn't having a date, Polixia answered stiffly. She's just at a comic convention with a new friend. Cypher's face fell when she caught sight of Cyrene. So it was only playtime with Cyrene. What a disappointment. All her carefully laid plans felt suddenly worthless. So why don't we just take off these FFF group cosplay outfits and go in properly, she suggested, trying to salvage the situation. Phaenon, Maide, and Aglaia made no comment, but all three visibly exhaled in relief. No, Polixia shook her head, unusually adamant. Even from here, I can feel the love in my sister's heart. I didn't expect my sister to like a girl, fine, but I still want to break them up. Seriously, you're going to break up a pair of lovebirds? Cypher's mouth twitched. Little sister, do you even know who that adult next to Cyrene is? I know, the pink-haired one, Cyrene, Polixia said stubbornly. Anyway, I can't let them be together. Cypher was at her wit's end. She took a couple steps back, ceding the center of command to Polixia, and exchanged a look with Phaenon and the others. In that glance, they all understood one another. With Cyrene on full display, lighting, effects, the whole act, Polixia might as well be jumping into a spotlight and handing herself over. As heirs of the Chrysos, they were practically MiHoYo scholars. Even now, Phaenon could tell Cyrene wasn't just Cyrene. She'd clearly adopted some of Alicia's ethereal traits. MiHoYo's character design that charms girls was no joke. Forget Polixia. Even if she and Aglaia combined forces, it would be an easy loss. And the two beefy guys beside them, whose heads were filled with nothing but dumb muscle, completely unreliable. Cypher almost gave up on Polixia, but couldn't bring herself to abandon a comrade. How about we just play along for now? She offered weakly. We haven't done any real damage, and if it fails, it's just a performance at the convention. Do as you think best, Aglaia, who had been silent throughout, said rarely. Remember why you came here, Cypher, to have fun. Don't end up the joke of the festival. Cypher nodded, and her ear ornaments drooped. For a prankster, the worst fate was becoming the butt of someone else's joke. Even the most extreme mischief makers she'd met wouldn't relish that. She wondered if Sparkle had come to the convention. Of course, Sparkle would have shown up to stir something up. At that moment, a small, round-headed cat darted around Cypher's feet and looked up at her. Wow, what a cute kitty, Cypher said, reaching to pick Chi Meow Meow up. The cat responded with 3 sharp hisses and a swift paw attack, and Cypher hastily withdrew her hand. That tiny, round-headed cat was terrifying in the most compact way. I'm scared, she thought. Isn't that Cyrene's cat? Aglaia prompted. I saw it in her arms earlier. Oh, then it's lost, maybe? Cypher mused. We should return it to Cyrene. She'll be grateful. A new friendship about to begin, right? Phaenon teased. All right. The group crouched and tried to play with Chi Meow Meow, who paid them no mind. But now, only a few tens of centimeters tall, the cat could finally see their faces clearly. Oh, it's Cypher and the others. Wait, isn't that Kevin's face? Chi Meow Meow paused at Phaenon's look, then put it together. Oh, Phaenon, the Kazlana ancestor counterpart. A stream of academic-sounding thoughts flowed through the cat's head. But according to the counterpart theory, if this world has Phaenon, there shouldn't be a Kevin, right? Except, Kazlana in English can be spelled different ways and pronunciations blur, so Phaenon and Kevin are basically the same person. And Cyrene in Honkai Star Rail, Alicia fragments in her design. Acheron is essentially the evolved form of Rooftop May from long ago. Either way, whether Phaenon or Kevin, they're both pitiable. Chi Meow Meow cast Phaenon a sympathetic glance and, with a haughty flick of her tail, turned and strutted off. 10 minutes later, a burst of gongs and drums erupted in front of a booth at the comic convention. The commotion drew a crowd, Star Rail fans and curious passersby from other exhibition areas alike. Cyrene and Castorich, who were already in the Star Rail section, didn't miss the spectacle. They declined repeated requests for selfies, found the best vantage point, and watched. On stage, a girl with orange hair held a stone hammer nearly half her height, poised to strike. Beside her, a brown-haired cosplayer lay on the ground, clutching a slab of stone to her chest and trembling. The audience buzzed. Ginaifen and Li Sushang cosplayers, someone shouted. Wow, they nailed the looks. Have you heard the rumor? Some people say that some of the cosplayers here might actually be the characters themselves. Characters come to life? Seriously? I heard they're going to try breaking that huge stone on someone's chest. Is this free entertainment? That stone Li Sushang is holding looks like actual solid marble. Holy crap, they mean business. The crowd edged closer, murmuring and wide-eyed, eager to see what would happen next. 42. Mysterious long black hair. No, Ginaifen. As the crowd around them swelled, Ginaifen's smile only grew wider, its breadth increasing in direct proportion to the fear on Li Sushang's face. Sister, please don't listen to what that short girl just said. If you want to get popular from your live stream, you'll lose your good sister forever. Li Sushang protested. They had been enjoying the comic convention until a short, long black-haired girl in round glasses had materialized out of nowhere to greet them. She looked refined and polite, but the moment she opened her mouth, she planted a terrible idea into Gunaifen's head. Since you, Ginaifen, want more followers and to get famous, why not do something bigger? Gunaifen's eyes lit up with greedy understanding. Egged on by the short girl, she prepared a spectacle, a martial arts stunt, smashing a boulder on someone's chest. That's not something a girl should do, Li Sushang whimpered, but Ginaifen was already blinded by the promise of views. Watching thousands of chat messages flood her live stream, she gripped the hammer and raised it above her head. Sushang, hang on. I know you can take it. You used to train harder than this. It's just taking a hit, she added, trying to sound reassuring. I haven't trained in ages. New account. Don't do this to me. Li Sushang wailed. Get ready. I'm going to strike. Seconds later, with Sushang braced, Ginaifen brought the hammer down on the marble slab and the poor girl beneath it. This strike pierces the stars. Dong. The slab cracked with a violent impact. Li Sushang saw stars and went limp. For a moment, she looked almost dead. Viewers panicked, but when they saw her chest still rising and falling, they exhaled. Li Sushang wasn't iron, but she had enough martial arts background to survive. The crowd erupted in cheers. Good. Ginaifen, you've got talent. You did great, though that was cruel to Sushang. No buying, no killing. Every time Ginaifen becomes popular, a Sushang gets mercilessly killed. She's not some legendary swordmaster, just a half-baked cosplayer. Ha ha ha. As for creating content, it's confirmed. Ginaifen is an emanator of elation. Reward. The donations flooded in. Ginaifen felt vindicated. Everything she had done for the live stream had been worth it. She planned to use the revenue and the cash tips from the crowd to reward Sushang for playing along. Hehe, thank you everyone for your donations and support. I'm Ginaifen, English name Guinevere. My stream name is Ginaifen Guinevere. Please follow me. Sushang and I will bring you content every day. She posed and flirted with the audience, promising photos and autographs despite the limits of a convention setup. Then, in the front of the crowd, she saw Serene and Castoris and froze for a fraction of a second. Serene's fairy magic effects were something Ginaifen, an ordinary human, couldn't fully comprehend. While most cosplayers were obviously wearing costumes, Serene looked like the character's original skin come to life. It was like a dimensional reduction attack. Unreal, two-dimensional perfection in the flesh. When Ginaifen swung her camera toward Serene, the stream fell utterly silent. Serene's magic had a quirk. It enhanced her in-person appearance, but electronic devices couldn't capture the magical effects. Demug and Iron Curtain, erosion, they shared a common origin, and that power could invade electronics and alter footage at will. So the glowing, otherworldly special effects visible to the attendees simply wouldn't show up on recordings. Even without the magical glow, Serene's beauty was enough to set the crowd alight. The chat exploded again. Is that, Mom, I just saw the goddess of beauty. Ginaifen actually invited Alicia? That's Serene, right? Her eyes and figure. There's an Ely vibe for sure. Double fandom ecstasy. Oh my god, she spoke. Her voice sounds way better than in-game. Mihoyo said Alicia and Serene don't have voice actors. Their voices are AI. Then who is this? I feel like I discovered something incredible. Ginaifen watched the numbers skyrocket. This surge of attention dwarfed even the boulder stunt. Fine. she thought. All my effort and Sushang's pain, but a beautiful girl gets you more viewers. Are my fans all perverts? Ugh, disgusting fans. You win. Still, Gwenathan couldn't help smiling fawningly as she approached. Hi, Miss Cyrene. May I take a photo with you? She gushed. Of course, Cyrene answered. She wouldn't refuse a pretty girl. They posed. Gwenathan noticed that in the photos, Cyrene's magical effects didn't appear, and she didn't ask why, not wanting to spoil the moment. After getting permission, Gwenathan slid her arm around Cyrene's slender waist and showed off for the live stream. See, beauty is only for the strong. The chat went wild with envy and adoration. Gwenathan, you deserve to die. I want to hug my Ely. As a 10-year Ely fan, I swear, this pink-haired one is more real than the game version. It's clearly Cyrene. What's the difference between Cyrene and Ely? Aren't they both our wives? Did you guys eat something? Cyrene is mine. Who knew a real Cyrene would show up at the Shanghai City Comic Convention? I regret skipping Magic City. I'm at Alicia's birthday party in the capital. Can I still fly over? Maybe. Capital to Shanghai is just over 2 hours. There's a flight at noon. If you hurry, you could be here by 3, if Cyrene's still around. The convention buzzed around them. Camera flashes, excited whispers, and the steady, irresistible current of a live stream capturing it all, even if some of its most dazzling details could only be seen with the naked eye. Gwenathan wasn't stupid, and neither were the people watching her live stream. A surprising number of viewers had already begun to suspect that their favorite anime characters had somehow crossed over into reality, or at least had real-world counterparts. Cyrene's sudden appearance was unprecedented. Fans who had taken part in the Alicia Cyrene birthday event were especially excited. Whether this Cyrene at the convention was the true Alicia or merely a look-alike didn't matter to most people. A photo opportunity was worth the trip, and for many, it was only a few $100s. Besides, with a face like that, who would believe she wasn't Cyrene? Word of Gwenathan and Cyrene's photo spread like wildfire across the forums. Plane and Astral Express tickets to Shanghai City were snapped up in minutes. Within half an hour, flights were sold out, giving the impression that Cyrene merchandise, or rather, an actual Cyrene, had been bought away by ravenous fans. Back in the capital city, Eden and Pardo were standing in a nearly deserted exhibition hall, where the Alicia opening day celebration should have been packed. As they strolled between empty booths, Pardo stopped and stared. Sister Eden, where did everybody go? Even if it's nearly mealtime, it shouldn't be this empty, Eden said, frowning. They both fell silent. Half an hour earlier, there had been a steady line of people hoping to take pictures, but suddenly, many of those fans had given them strange looks and disappeared. Pardo realized the mass exodus seemed connected to something else, but what? Pardo snapped a selfie and posted a desperate plea on Miyushi. The replies came quick and blunt. Sofa! OP, are you living under a rock? Have you seen the hot post? Pardo, what hot post? It's the one saying a real Alicia showed up in Shanghai City. Right, if there's a real Alicia over there, who's going to waste time at the capital city celebration? The Jingye are loaded. Dedicated fans can afford to change plans last minute. They'll just book another flight. Pardo, link please. I heard Eden and Pardo are in the capital city. Why aren't they flying to Shanghai City to find Cyrene? Why worry? Do you think the flame chasers haven't met in real life? That's probably it. Wait, why do people assume we know her? Reading the messages, Pardo's face grew serious. This is bad. Eden, get your friends on the phone and book a private plane. We need to get to Shanghai City right now. Why Shanghai City? Eden asked. Trust me, Pardo said, already pulling her toward the exit. She flashed a conspiratorial smile. If I told you everything now, it wouldn't be a surprise. Let it stay a mystery for a little longer. They rushed to prepare, convinced whatever awaited them would be worth the scramble. Shanghai City, Miss Gwenathan, we've received reports that your behavior is endangering public safety and disturbing the order here. You need to come with us and explain what happened. What? Me? Disturbing public order? Gwenathan looked bewildered as police officers temporarily stationed at the convention escorted her away. Cyrene watched in surprise. Castoris was speechless. It was obvious why the police intervened. Gwenathan had smashed a large rock on Li Sushang's chest in front of the crowd. If it had been a prop, it might have been tolerated, but the rock and hammer had been real. The authorities were justified in stepping in. Castoris's concern shifted to the person Ganifan had attacked. Li Sushang was lying motionless on the convention floor, apparently unconscious. Ganifan wasn't coming back soon, so Cyrene went to check. She reached out, felt Li Sushang's pulse, and used the power of love and wishes to detect the condition of her body. Li Sushang was in a deep, shock-induced sleep and had minor injuries. Cyrene spent 2 points of her power to heal those injuries and ease the shock. The effect brought Li Sushang back from her stupor. Her eyes fluttered open and met a gaze like a sea of stars. "Am I dreaming?" she murmured. "My chest? Did Gwenaphan actually break my ribs? Am I dead and in heaven?" "It doesn't look like you're dead," Cyrene said softly. Li Sushang pressed a hand to her chest, relieved to find it intact. She sat up slowly and then bowed, cupping her fist in a salute. "Thank you, heroine, for saving me." Cyrene blinked at the display of chivalry. It was a bit foreign to her, but she offered her hand. "Then let's shake hands. From now on, we'll be friends." Li Sushang grinned. And like that, Li Sushang became part of Cyrene's little group. "Hello, teacher. Can I get a photo?" "Teacher Cyrene, please a picture. I'll do anything." "Woo, Teacher Cyrene, please sign my book. Woo." Fans had gathered again, pushing forward with phones and tearful pleas. Cyrene looked uncomfortable. Being this conspicuous had its downsides. After signing a few autographs, Castoris stepped forward to calm things down. "Sorry, everyone," she said. "We're just visitors. We weren't invited as official cosplayers by the organizers. If everyone crowds us, it'll cause trouble." The line hesitated then, understanding, began to disperse. "All right," someone sighed contentedly as they drifted away. "Sigh, it was fate, but not destiny. It's okay, we still got to see her." With the crowd thinning, Cyrene, Castoris, and their new companion stood in the middle of the convention hall, the echo of the commotion slowly fading behind them. 44. Taishu Immortal Hua, thank you all for your love. But unfortunately, today is my birthday, and I could only slip away from my busy schedule to come to the convention, so I really can't meet everyone's expectations. However, a group photo is no problem. Cyrene looked apologetic, and in the end she agreed to take a group photo with her fans. Yay! My treasure Lian is still so beautiful and kind. It's her birthday? I think I've discovered something amazing. It's not amazing. Those who know, know. Why does Treasure Lian sound so much like Alicia when she talks? Alicia is my crush. Treasure Lian's my crush too. What, you don't dare call her wife out loud anymore? She's right in front of you. Are you going to call her that? It's fine. With Cyrene's personality, how could she dislike you? Forget it. Calling her wife in private is enough. Once they learned Cyrene wasn't official staff, but an amateur cosplayer who'd come for the convention, and that she was having trouble with stamp collecting, the fans were understanding. After the photos, they dispersed. Many, now knowing it was Cyrene's birthday, had their suspicions confirmed, though it hardly needed confirmation. She'd already shown her superhuman flair. After saying her goodbyes, Cyrene breathed a sigh of relief. She briefly considered revoking her fairy magic, then dismissed the idea. Even without the special effects, she was still an incredibly beautiful girl. Her looks would draw attention regardless. Revoking fairy magic today would be pointless. Let herself enjoy the day. Besides, after her birthday, she would withdraw the magic and revert to a 17-year-old country girl from Demon Capital. Anyone who saw her at the convention would almost certainly not recognize her then. And even if someone did, they wouldn't be able to prove she had been the fairy lady there. She could just deny it to the end. Plan successful. Soothed by that reasoning, Cyrene turned her attention to the innocent-faced girl nearby and decided to use her specialty, the art of network conversion. Just as star-nosed Herda, Li Sushang, who was young and already skilled in martial arts, must have been taught by an expert, for example, Hua. "You mean the old ancestor?" Cyrene asked. Li Sushang's cheerful, silly face suddenly sobered. She pulled Cyrene into an empty corner. "This is a secret of our Taishu lineage. You mustn't tell anyone." "Got it," Cyrene said, patting her chest. Li Sushang then told her the greatest secret of the Divine State's Taishu line. It turned out Hua, the old ancestor of Taishu, had achieved phenomenal cultivation. She had reached the realm of unity between heaven and man 1,000 years ago. In her pursuit of martial perfection, the old ancestor repeatedly underwent body-severing reincarnation, each time returning with a deeper understanding of martial truth. By Serene's count, 18 years had passed in the mortal world since Hua's last body severing. Stop, stop, stop. Serene interrupted as Li Sushang slid into storytelling mode, and Serene felt her worldview beginning to topple. Why did the tone suddenly change? Are you saying there are really people cultivating immortality in our divine state? Serene asked. No, Li Sushang corrected. The old ancestor insists she's a martial cultivator, but to us Taishu disciples, she's no different from an immortal. Serene was speechless. Well, given that she could obtain a world, class creation, like Demug and Herda, could pull wondrous things from other worlds. An immortal existing somewhere in the divine state didn't seem impossible. And with Hua's design and potential, if some major disaster ever threatened humanity, it was reassuring to know there was at least one overwhelmingly powerful figure who could shoulder the burden. Do you understand the value of someone who could carry humanity from the second collapse through the third, and even beyond across the stars? In the second collapse, immortal Fu Hua's combat power started at a divine level, crushing the abyssal will, a final boss-level threat. Though Fu Hua was weaker in the third collapse, a fully developed Fu Hua could have taken on the Herrscher of the End's body, Siren, who held multiple Herrscher cores. If Otto hadn't interfered at the last moment, Fu Hua alone might have dealt with the post-civilization Honkai, leaving Kiana no opportunity to be deliverance. In the current Star Rail plot, Xianzhou Marshal Hua hasn't appeared yet, but with Hua's abilities, Cyrene believed she could probably trade blows with an Aeon one-on-one. Do you know where your old ancestor Hua is cultivating now? Cyrene asked. Li Sushang grinned and shrugged casually. Why bother with that? With old ancestor Hua's power, how many people in this world could actually harm her? In the first few centuries after she did her body severing, our Taishu sect used to have elders escort her down the mountain. But we soon realized that compared to the old ancestor who needed protection, it was actually we who were being protected. By the Song and Ming dynasties, the sect stopped tracking her body-severing movements. After all, we later suspected the old ancestor might be a reincarnation of the divine phoenix. Even if she died, she could come back. For some reason, Cyrene felt a lot more at ease hearing that. The name Hua itself carried an ultimate sense of security. An immortal who couldn't die and who could solo a final boss beat a certain pink-haired character who always met tragedy whenever she appeared. Decision made. As soon as Miss Hua or Fu Hua appeared, she would cling to her leg. If Hua cleared out the treacherous types, Cyrene would probably win by doing nothing. So Cyrene immediately promoted the task, finding the immortal, to the highest priority, even above gathering large amounts of power of love and wishes. Why struggle to become stronger when you could just follow someone immensely powerful? Maybe she was being a little lazy, but it felt like the sensible play. My mom did mention something, Li Sushang added. The old ancestor seems to be studying in the Shanghai City area. If you really wanted to find her, you might if you looked carefully. Hearing that Hua was in the Shanghai City area felt oddly fitting to Cyrene. After all, Hua was one of the 13 flame chasers in Honkai Impact 3rd lore, a true native of the divine state. It wouldn't be surprising for two flame chasers to be studying in the same place. 45. Fireworks. Cyrene and Castores had no idea how to find Fu Hua, in the crush of people. Cyrene almost immediately thought of Demug. It was an almost omnipotent AI, and with the Divine Realm's real name registration system, getting Demug to locate an 18-year-old named Hua somewhere in Shanghai City should have been simple. But Demug quoted a price, 1,000 points of wish value. Cyrene, who had only managed to earn a 3-digit total after a morning's effort, felt a little hopeless. That's so expensive. Can you make it cheaper? A chat window flashed from Demug. The Divine Realm's network has been encrypted by a certain genius, so cracking that firewall isn't cheap. Besides, earning wish value isn't hard for you. Then I'll just leave it to fate. Serene dropped the idea of cheating to get Hua's location. She could probably scrape together 1,000 points in 2 or 3 days. but spending precious wish value just to get someone's location felt unnecessary. Besides, Hua was essentially a compassionate immortal. If people were in danger, she would likely show up somewhere to help. And Hua was one of the 13 flame chasers. Their paths were bound to cross sooner or later. If Cyrene gathered the flame chasers' bonds, would she be dragged into another flame chaser's arc? Whether it was Amphorius's route or Honkai's, she didn't want to be part of it. 2 flame chasers' stories, and the same little pink-haired girl got stabbed 5 times. Serene had no desire to be Deliverance's expendable. Heh. You seem pretty scared of the word flame chasers, Demug teased. I'm human. Of course I'm allowed to be afraid, Serene muttered. Although she'd step up if push came to shove, she didn't want to be stripped of the right to fear. Of course, baby, Demug replied. Being called baby by the omnipotent AI made Cyrene flush with a mix of embarrassment and irritation. Standing there in the sea of people, she felt very small. Just as she accepted that vulnerability, a fragrant breeze brushed past. When she looked up, a black-haired girl with straight hair, a little over 1.5 meters tall, was standing in front of her with a graceful poise. The girl wore a classic JK top, a pleated skirt, cotton socks, and small leather boots. Small glasses perched on her nose gave her a serious literature club vibe, but her skin was flawless, and there was a mischievous glint in her eyes that made her presence electrifying. Even among elaborate cosplays, this simple outfit stood out. Oh, look what I found! A little pink-haired beauty who outshines everyone else. The girl beat Serene to the greeting, her tone light and mischievous, behind the serious look. Good morning. May I befriend you? If you don't answer, I'll take that as a yes. So may I call you dear now? Huh, this one's more forward than Gwynathan just now. Serene took the girl's hand in a friendly squeeze. Dear might not be suitable. We're meeting for the first time. Maybe another form of address? Castoris, standing beside Serene, peered at the girl in confusion. May I ask who you are? Ah, you didn't recognize me? The girl feigned surprise, looking up at Serene. Then, little pink hair, you don't recognize me either, do you? How could I not recognize you, Miss Sparkle? Serene said helplessly. Sparkle said nothing more. She tied her hair into twin tails and took off her glasses. Her outfit couldn't be changed on the spot, but the transformation made her look almost exactly like the Sparkle Castoris remembered. Once Castoris knew who she was, she felt a jolt of nervousness. Sparkle was a troll. You never knew when she might decide you were a joke to play with. Castoris was usually shy, but that didn't mean she wasn't afraid of social death. Serene didn't worry. From Sparkle's role in the story, her personality was easy to read, vicious and mocking toward the little peacock and the chicken wings boy, but endlessly affectionate toward women like Acheron and Firefly. Director Hua was clearly a lesbian among lesbians, so as a girl and a pretty one at that, Cyrene wasn't afraid Hua would do anything truly outrageous. Sparkle's performance in the main story was passable. She was less earnest than Uncle Cold Legs Sampo, but she hadn't committed any great crimes. The memory of Sparkle falling asleep under Order's power even made Cyrene smile. Our Miss Sparkle didn't have top-tier offense or defense, after all. What are you smiling about? Sparkle asked, suddenly uneasy. Nothing, just thought of something funny, Cyrene answered. Little sister Sparkle, how about we add each other on WeChat first, and then you can wander the convention with us? I can, Sparkle giggled, but you're using the wrong form of address. Then should I call you Student Sparkle? Or just Sparkle? Big Sister Sparkle? None of those. Sparkle shook her finger as she denied each option. I'm Sparkle, and I'm 28 this year, so you should call me Auntie Hua. Huh? Both Serene and Castoris said in unison. Sparkle still looked like a girl barely out of lowly age. If she'd said she was 14, Serene would have believed it. 28 sounded off. All right then, Auntie Hua. Serene hesitated, then relented. If Sparkle really was a 30-something fiction historian in disguise, calling her auntie would be embarrassing for everyone. But if she really was 28, what else could she do? Castoris felt the opposite. Calling Sparkle Auntie Hua made them feel like they dropped a generation on accident. I've been a bit busy the last 2 days, she thought. The old group chat dissolved for now. I'll set up a new one in a couple of days. M. 46. Cat's Return. Oh no, you can't just call me Auntie Hua like that. It shouldn't be like this. First, you should have resisted a little, then interacted with me more, and finally completely succumbed to my charm, accepting the great truth of Miss Sparkle. Sparkle chattered on, but Cyrene only looked at her with affectionate eyes. Auntie Hua is the best. Realizing the pink-haired girl before her truly treated her like a child, Sparkle rolled her eyes. Dealing with a jester who wants to pick a fight requires a different tactic. Sincerity is the ultimate weapon. The more you play along with a jester, the less fun they have making fun of you, perhaps the legendary jester's paradox. Instead of being the one to toy with, Sparkle now had to worry about her own safety. Sparkle! While the others argued, Miss Li Sushang, who had been invisible until now, appeared, hefting a gleaming greatsword and grinding her teeth as she approached. Miss Cyrene, Miss Castoris, excuse me. Perhaps you already know her, but I'll introduce her properly, Cyrene said as Li Sushang strode forward. She, Sparkle, was the one who provoked Ganaphan into making me smash my chest with a rock. I have no other demands, Li Sushang continued, voice hard. To repay her kindness, I want her to feel the pain I felt. Cyrene looked at the greatsword in Li Sushang's hands. Its texture gleamed with an unmistakable weight. Even unsharpened, a several hundred-pound greatsword slammed down onto a fragile body could easily cause a severe injury. Sparkle looked thin and fragile. She probably couldn't withstand even one strike. Cyrene searched Sparkle's face for fear, but Sparkle's skill at keeping a neutral expression was impeccable. Only the way she took a few steps back betrayed her fragility. Oh, what's the big deal? Sparkle said, trying to sound nonchalant. She enjoyed the spectacle, yet she didn't want to swallow the bitter outcome completely. People must pay for their actions, but if the cost was life itself, she hoped some unknown Lord Aha would forgive her weakness. How about I give you some compensation, she offered. Cyrene stepped in to mediate. Miss Sushang, she said gently, Sparkle seems to realize she was wrong. Could you give her a chance? Li Sushang's killing intent eased marginally at Cyrene's words, though anger still seethed beneath the surface. Noticing the change, Sparkle bravely stepped forward and leaned in to whisper a few words to Li Sushang. The group watched as Li Sushang slowly lowered her greatsword, her expression softening. Fine, this matter ends here, but you must do what you promised. Cyrene was curious about what Sparkle had offered to calm Li Sushang, but Sparkle's face held a mysterious mixture of satisfaction and a touch of sorrow, and Cyrene didn't press. It seemed their Lady Sparkle had lost something important in the bargain. With the dispute settled, the group gained a new member. Sparkle tallied them up in mock seriousness. 2 HP scaling characters, 1 speed-boosting crit dealer, and 1 outdated 1.0 break effect character. Hey, my stats, Auntie Hua, are slipping a little. Sparkle complained. If new members join, the first one to be optimized out will definitely be you, Sushang. Why are we talking about game team compositions? Li Sushang protested. This isn't a turn-based RPG. There are no abundance aberrations or antimatter legions in reality. If reality were a 3D action game, Sparkle countered, maybe this heroine would be playing the script of the Taiksu Divine Sword. Don't make your Auntie Hua laugh, Sparkle chuckled. Even in Honkai Impact 3rd, Earthling characters are getting phased out quickly. Maybe I'll get a new SP form someday. Li Sushang snapped. Hey, but Auntie Hua is about to get an SP form and form a new joyful battleship soon, Sparkle boasted. Your in-game self is fake no matter how strong, Li Sushang muttered. Fake or not, it's still strong, Sparkle insisted. As they bickered, something furry brushed against Cyrene's calf. She looked down to see a small cat gazing up at her. Chi Meow Meow, the special operative she had sent out to gather intelligence, had returned. Cyrene scooped the cat into her arms. Well, did you find out who they were? Meow meow meow, the cat replied. To Sparkle's astonishment, the person and the cat conversed as if there were no language barrier. After a brief exchange, Cyrene learned the identities of the trackers from Chi Meow Meow and felt the familiar tug of fate. Hyacine's presence didn't surprise her. She had seen Hyacine once before when she met Castoris, but why Cypher and the others had come was baffling. Most worrying of all, why would the Chrysos heirs hate her? Hate was a strong word, far beyond mere dislike or displeasure. Cyrene had always been kind, careful even to walk around ants in her path. So how could she have incurred such deep hatred, especially from a Chrysos hair? She ran through names in her head and rejected each one. Phynon? No. Little Bai understood love better than she did. Cypher? Impossible. How could a cat harbor such hatred? Aglaia? No. Mbai? No. Hyacine? No. Someone similar to Castoris? Maybe Polixia, Castoris' sister? She couldn't think of a reason Polixia would hate her. Cyrene sent a private message to Dimug. Hate. Does slight hatred count as hatred? Slight hatred? Is there even such a thing? Came the reply. Cyrene bristled. Although her grades weren't stellar, they were certainly better than ignorant Alicia's. She scoffed at the notion that hatred could be slight. Dimug's soft chuckle in response made it clear she had been baited. Realization dawned on Cyrene. The scary absolute embodiments she'd imagined, those representing hatred, fear, lust, weren't necessarily as terrifying as she'd presumed. She folded her arms around Chi Meow Meow and said, half admonishing, half teasing, "What remembrance? You should be joy and join sparkle." Given Dimug's lie, Cyrene figured the hateful person's true feelings toward her were probably somewhere between dislike and hate. Hate itself, she decided, was impossible. Looking at herself objectively, she suspected Dimug had exaggerated. She told Chi Meow Meow about her bond with the three special fated ones. Meow Meow Meow. Huh? You mean somebody from back there actually hates you? The cat demanded. Yes. Meow 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 Meow. They don't have a grudge against you. Why would they hate you? I don't know. Meow Meow Meow. So who do you think it is? I think all the Chrysos hairs are like sweet little pastries, soft and fragrant. There can't be any bad people among them, Cyrene said earnestly. Meow! Oh gods, don't say things like that. It's sickening. Chi Meow Meow curled her toes. Meow, 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 meow. You sound so cheesy in fairy mode. Get out of fairy mode and switch back to your alternate account, Cyrene. Cyrene froze. Meow meow, how could you? How could you rate a girl like that? She stroked the cat against the grain, mock offended. I can get angry too, you know. Ha! Chi Meow Meow finished with a huff. Of course, Chi Meow Meow was a haughty, invincible cat. She must never be abandoned. When their little spat ended, Sparkle, who had been listening with obvious curiosity, hurried over. Dear, little pink-haired one, how did you learn such an obscure foreign language? Sparkle asked. A genius implanted a synesthesia beacon in me, Cyrene said, omitting Herta's name. Sparkle, however, was quick to deduce the rest. A genius? Which genius? Let me guess, your bond with the little gray-haired one is the strongest, right? The geniuses who know the little gray-haired one are Herta and Ruan Mei, and on this earth, the conditions for the birth of the mechanical sovereign Screwlum don't exist. And Ruan Mei specializes in life sciences, so that leaves Herta. I'd say it's 99% Herta, Sparkle declared. Cyrene could only look at her helplessly. That's an embarrassingly accurate guess. Why are all the counterparts I meet smarter than me? It feels like nothing can be kept from you. Heh, not everyone's as clever as Lady Sparkle. Look, over there, isn't that a slow one and a silly one? Sparkle's voice dropped as she nodded toward Castorich and Li Sushang, who had wandered off to a nearby stall to buy things. Cyrene refused to take the bait. She wasn't about to say anything that could offend a pretty girl. Besides, slow reactions were charming in their own way. Sparkle, seeing she'd failed to provoke Cyrene, lost interest and turned her attention back to Chi Meow Meow. May I know what you two were just talking about, little pink-haired one? You know me. I love fun, Cyrene replied. Meow Meow Meow. I met her counterpart back on the moon, and I even took care of some weirdos tailing her. They were from something called the Garden of Recollection? The cat said. And your identity? Sparkle asked. Meow. It's fine if my identity's out. I'm the protagonist, and there's nothing in this world that can beat me. Sparkle smiled. Although she's not very young, Miss Kiana is still so confident and adorable. Cyrene and Chi Meow Meow made up. Cyrene rubbed the cat's soft, floppy belly. Meow Meow Meow. Hey, I told you, my real age is 18. All right, Miss Kiana is forever 18, Cyrene teased. With Chi Meow Meow willing to be loose-lipped, Cyrene felt safe enough to tell Sparkle about the fated ones. Sparkle might cause trouble later, but Cyrene decided she'd go all out if it meant something interesting would happen. Hey, don't say so many secrets. Sparkle suddenly clapped a hand over her ears before Cyrene could spill everything. Little pink-haired one, don't say any more. Serene blinked. Since you're being honest, I'll be honest too. Sparkle sighed. In this world, some people are born loving extreme sports. Pursuing thrills, they'll even risk their lives. We, the fun seekers, feel the same. I was born a fun seeker. I wouldn't hesitate, even if it cost me my life. It's just a pity that on this earth, great God Aha hasn't granted believers the power of elation, so my abilities are limited. Therefore, to stop me from acting like a moth toward a flame, let's postpone those cosmic-level fun events for a little while, Sparkle added with mock gravity. Cyrene nodded seriously. I see, Sparkle's grin returned. The secrets you told me are already explosive. Who would have guessed a goddess of the end got sealed by some unknown entity and turned into a cat and sent to us? That's a huge load of fun. I can't handle this much fun, she finished, half seriously. I wouldn't go that far. Cyrene picked up the cat and smirked. The unknown entity who turned Kiana into such a cute cat certainly has good taste. They can't be bad people, Serene added. Meow? That's how you decide if someone's good or bad. Chi Meow Meow blinked in bafflement. Sparkle, who didn't speak cat, still caught the meaning from tone and expression. Heh, I believe little pink-haired one must have unusual insight. What? That's wrong, Serene said matter-of-factly. Someone who loves beautiful things can't be a bad person. Chi Meow was so outraged she laughed. Meow! Then how do you explain the suffering I've had these past few days? Kiana, be honest. Have you really suffered here at my house? Cyrene scoffed. You don't have to go to school. You just play games all day. You use my money to order KFC and secretly spend $648 on in-game purchases. Kiana, you know you only deleted the payment receipts, not the monthly bill records, right? You really didn't know how much you'd spent? I'm a poor student for crying out loud. And also, meow! Stop talking. Chi Meow Meow buried her face in Cyrene's hand. After Cyrene rattled off all her crimes, the cat hung her head in shame. Meow? 48. The Divided Golden Descendants. Chi Meow Meow's bravado vanished the moment she realized she was about to eat Cyrene into bankruptcy. Taking things felt like a debt. Eating made one feel tongue-tied. And she was squatting in someone else's house, eating and helping herself to their things, despite having no relation to Cyrene. Now that she was just a cat, there was no practical way to repay her host. Offer herself in marriage? Cough. No, Kiana was, after all, the neighboring earth god. She had to keep some dignity. Still, that face was undeniably gorgeous. Those eyes full of stars, the bright pink hair. There might be something to be said for that type. The cat cocked her head and very quietly admired. Sorry, May, but this miss had a type too. Serene, blissfully unaware of the cat's inner monologue, continued talking with Huahuo until they reached an agreement and became preliminary partners. Our mutual assistance pact is hereby established. Then that's settled. If you ever need my help, Huahuo, just contact me. No matter when or where, I will respond. Respond to your call. Cyrene winked at Huahuo. All right, I know you're the best. Huahuo could only roll her eyes at Cyrene's earnest enthusiasm. Sigh. This sort of pink-haired person, who always spoke the truth and treated others with boundless sincerity, was the natural bane of a troublemaker like her. Still, there was a tiny bit of conscience under all that. Soon Director Hua would find it harder and harder to tease this pink-haired girl. But if the pink-haired girl wasn't amusing enough, her companions certainly were. Cyrene had mentioned a Chrysos heir who disliked her. Now that sounded like fun. Time flew. By noon, Li Sushang and Castoris had finished gathering supplies. Tired from shopping, they met up with Cyrene and Huahuo. Given Li Sushang's combat strength, Cyrene made a plan. She would send Chi Meow Meow and Li Sushang to break off from the group and intercept Cypher's gang alone. Even though a big, general-type guy like My Day was among the Chrysos heirs, there'd been no prior grudges between the parties. An outright fight seemed unlikely. Li Sushang's safety wasn't a major concern. 2 minutes after Chi Meow Meow was sent out, the cat came back. Her bewildered expression told Cyrene something had changed. What happened? Meow Meow Meow, the cat mumbled, translating with a paw at her head. I'm a bit confused too. How do I put it? They seem to have split up. They split up? Cyrene frowned. Explain. Chi Meow 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 relayed what she had overheard while tailing several black-robed figures. Maidai, Phanon, Aglaia, and Hyacine had confronted Seifer and Polixia for a while. After a short argument, the four defected from the others. Cypher and Polixia, however, continued with some unknown plan. Crucially, the cat had caught a name. Polixia was the one who intended to target Cyrene. "Why does Polixia hate me?" Cyrene asked, nudging Huahuo with her shoulder. "Miss Huahuo, Auntie Hua, do you know?" "How should I?" Huahuo said, exasperated. "I just found out about this myself." "It shouldn't be hard to guess, right? Polixia's Castoris's younger sister. Her hatred must be tied to Castoris." "If you want the truth, why not ask Castoris?" Cyrene brightened at the obvious idea. Why wait for a drawn-out romantic genre misunderstanding when you could ask the person involved? They hadn't even met. How big could the conflict be? Cyrene went to the coffee shop and found Castoris, Butterfly Treasure, as some called her, sipping a latte. "Butterfly Treasure, I need to ask you something." "Ask away, Your Excellency." A few minutes of questions later, Cyrene had a revelation. "Are you saying your sister can empathize with you?" Castoris nodded slowly. "Yes. As twins, they can sense each other. Our feelings are closely linked." "So if you behaved oddly, that would affect Polixia," Cyrene mused. "And because your appearance is different from Polixia's, it separated you two," Castoris finished. "That's why she's upset." "To avoid exposing Your Excellency's birthday party," Castoris continued, "I didn't leave my room for 3 whole days." 3 days? Cyrene slapped her forehead. "Wouldn't that just make things more suspicious?" Huahuo connected the pieces aloud. Castoris's abnormal behavior first raised Polixia's suspicion. Polixia then told Cypher, Hyacine, and the others. The Chrysos heirs decided to punish you for what they thought was deception. But when they confronted you, they didn't know you were Cyrene, which caused internal conflict and the split. Cyrene's eyes went wide. "So that explains it. Meaning the only ones we need to worry about are Cypher and Polixia?" No. Huahuo shook her head. "You said only one person actually hates you. Cypher is probably just along for the theatrics." Cyrene thought for a moment, then made up her mind. Phaenon and the others had already defected. Now Polixia basically had only a cat girl by her side. If they didn't act now, when would they? 5 against 2, advantage Cyrene. "Should I contact Polixia?" Castoris poked her head out and said quietly, "This all started because of me. Neither you nor Polixia are truly to blame." "Do you think I'm going to punish her?" Cyrene teased, pinching Castoris's soft, bouncy cheek. Castoris shook her head. "Do I look like someone who holds grudges?" "No," Cyrene said, spreading her hands. "Then call her over. Let's sort this out." Huahuo sighed, a little disappointed. "I was kind of hoping for a show of action. Who knew it would just be a younger sister throwing a tantrum at her older sister?" "You pretty girls should go instead. You pretty girls should go instead." Beep, beep, beep. A few minutes later, Castoris's face fell as her call went unanswered. Not picking up, Cyrene felt mildly annoyed, but only slightly. Polixia was less than 100 meters from her limit. Even with Li Sushang's stamina, it would only take a minute or two to catch someone whose fitness wasn't great. Now that things were clearer, there was no need to stage a physical contest here. Still, Huohuo had an idea. If we can't reach Polixia, contact Cypher, the owl strategist. Even if Cypher doesn't answer, send her a threatening text, Huohuo continued. Say something like, "We know everything. We even know you're at XX location. If you don't want to become a dead cat, leave Polixia now and don't get involved." "We're not gangsters," Li Sushang replied. "I'll never advocate anything dishonorable." "Come on, it's the 21st century. Huohuo kept tossing out suggestions. "Didn't Castoris say you Chrysos heirs have a group chat? Why not everyone and invite them all over?" "No way," Cyrene answered quickly. 13 gold descendants gathered together? Are we reenacting the journey of the fire chasers? Huohuo backpedaled. "Then contact Aglaia and the others individually. Either get them to join us or persuade them to turn Polixia over to our side." "A gathering of 13 is off the table, but 6 or 7 Chrysos heirs meeting up should be fine, right?" someone asked. "March 7th and Star are coming over tonight to celebrate my birthday," Cyrene added. In the end, they agreed on Huohuo's compromise. "Contact Hyacine directly," Cyrene said. "She's easy to talk to. If we convince her, she can probably bring Phaenon and the others along." Huohuo shrugged. "Am I your strategist now?" "Hehe, thanks for the advice, Huohuo." 10 minutes later, near Polixia, Cypher pulled out her phone and froze when she saw Castoris's threatening message. She looked over at the glowing figures nearby with sudden panic. How did they know everything? Did Cyrene open some kind of heavenly eye? Whatever it was, the cat couldn't risk provoking them. Retreat seemed prudent. Forget it. My life comes first, Cypher muttered, then suddenly clutched her stomach and fled. Ouch! I think I have diarrhea. Going to the bathroom first. Meow. Meanwhile, Hyacine waved her phone at Aglia and the others. Aggie, Castoris invited the four of us to Cyrene's birthday party. Should we go together? The invitation list only has our four names? Aglia asked. Hyacine blushed. Apparently so. I guess we've been exposed, Fanon shrugged. What, can Castoris and Cyrene eat us or something? I don't see the problem. To be invited is already decent enough, Maide said coolly, arms crossed. Fine, I'll reply to Butterfly Treasure. As Hyacine was about to send a reply, Castoris sent another message, this one including the conjecture Herta and Cyrene had put together about fate. When Hyacine relayed the theory, the three others' expressions turned serious. Aglaia was the first to back away. If the fate tied to the 13 Gold Descendants gathering means destruction, then it's better not to gather. Oh, my fragile little body can't withstand a few slashes, someone fretted. Journey of the Fire Chasers, recreation, world-bearing, is this even human work? Fanon panicked the most. Sorry, I can't calm down right now. I'm not going to any dinner. I'm eating instant noodles. Maide stood and left without looking back. Fanon, who didn't want to be alone wandering into danger, also didn't want it to be the world's necessary suffering. Whether fate existed or not, he wasn't getting involved today. No one could change his mind. Butterfly Treasure says, as long as all the Chrysos heirs don't gather, nothing big will happen. Look, we've gathered at Aggie's place many times with no spooky incidents, Hyacine said. Teacher Anaxa has never been to Aggie's villa once, Aglaia pointed out. Anyway, better safe than sorry, Fanon called, catching up to Maide. He waved back at the girls. Maide and I will play somewhere else. You beautiful girls should go to her party instead. No one knows if fate will draw Professor Anaxa, Hesserine, Caesar, or Tabao here. In short, Maide and I will be the missing puzzle pieces today. Watching them go, Hyacine and Aglaia exchanged a look. All right, since you want to go, Aggie, let's go together. Okay, the new group has been created. 741379942. Author's note, I've been very busy lately and may not be active in the group often, but I'll try to keep updating. 50. Xi Lian, who doesn't want to get fat? Hi, Treasure Lian. We meet again. Hello, Treasure Feng. Outside a dessert shop, Cyrene ran into Hyacine and Aglaia buying sweets. Both sides tacitly avoided the earlier tracking incident. The two girls had been completely unaware of the stalkers at the time, and they hadn't colluded with Polixia and Cypher afterward. As for Cypher, she had simply wandered into the shop while they were talking. Hyacine, Aggie, why didn't you wait for me? Meow. Cypher patted up like a worried kitten. Castoris, you're here too, and these ladies are. Hyacine trailed off, then laughed. Never mind, Castoris, just looking at their clothes, I know who they are. They chatted amiably for a while, but Cyrene soon noticed Cypher trembling. Was she scared? No, cold. The season had just reached the start of winter, and the wind cut through to the bone. Cypher's outfit was really too thin. The Chrysos heirs might be legendary in name, but in reality, their blood ran red like anyone else's. They could catch a cold. Cyrene glanced at Cypher's pale, reddened thighs, reached out, and patted the little cat. With a touch of her omnipotent fairy magic, she swept the chill away from the girl's body. Love and wish points could be earned again, but if the kitten caught a cold, she'd be truly sick. As a fairy lady, Cyrene wouldn't let a pitiful little cat suffer. So warm. Cypher's eyes narrowed in comfortable gratitude. Her favorability toward Cyrene shot up. Sigh, so she'd been wrong about Polixia. How could such a sweet girl be a villain? And Castoris being snatched away? Castoris obviously left willingly. Thank you, Meow. Lady Cyrene, you're beautiful and kind. Cypher crowed and immediately attached herself to Cyrene. Key Meow Meow, another cat vying for Cyrene's attention, glared at Cypher warningly. Cyrene needed only one cat, hers. Ugh. Cyrene felt a pang of trouble. Her original plan had been simple. Get some dessert for lunch and tide herself over. She was hosting a birthday party with Star Treasure and March 7th that evening and had already prepared many treats. If she ate too much now, she'd gain weight. Demug had told her that while the power of love and wishes could optimize her body, that optimization only removed effects harmful to the body. It didn't destroy stored energy. The sugar and fat she stored through diet would still count as useful energy and wouldn't be broken down. The direct result, she'd still get fat if she ate too much. Who understood the pain of a girl with superpowers who still gained weight from overeating? Many people liked a plump figure. Cyrene appreciated it on others, but for herself, she preferred a balanced, slender silhouette. Maybe her tastes hadn't matured to embrace curves yet. After a few minutes and inner debate, she decided to have lunch with the Chrysos heirs. It was her birthday. A little indulgence was fine. And if she overdid it, she'd drag the little raccoon star treasure out for a morning run tomorrow. Before she could say anything, Huohua, ever the practical one, spoke up for her. Since there are so many of us, why don't we find a restaurant for lunch? No problem, Seifer nodded eagerly, and Hyacinth and Li Sushang had no objections. I know the hotels near the Bund pretty well. Let me pick a place, Aglaia said with a polish of noble etiquette. Cyrene couldn't quite parse, then took charge of the dining arrangements. Hooray, Aegis treating! We get to eat something good today. Seifer cheered. Cyrene hesitated. But I don't have much money. I can't afford a 5-star hotel. It's fine. You don't need to pay. Aglaia met Cyrene's eyes and saw her pride wouldn't accept a one-sided favor, so she quickly changed the subject. Actually, I'm fascinated by your clothing, especially that light around you. It looks like a special effect. Could you teach me how to make clothes come alive? Cyrene pretended to think while secretly contacting Demug in her mind. After confirming that creating a cloth artisan cost 100 love and wish points, she agreed without hesitation. No problem. Before Aglaia could reply, a soft white light appeared in Cyrene's hand. As she traced a circle in the air, a wooden dressmaker's mannequin manifested. Aglaia blinked. This must be the cloth artisan, right? Li Sushang said, mouth wide. Now Miss Aglaia can 100% pull the action bar for herself. I suspect you're hinting at something. Huohua frowned at Li Sushang's teasing. She suspected this simpleton was insulting her Auntie Hua. How can Cyrene create a cloth artisan? What about copyright fees? Teach me. Cypher's surprise turned playful. Seeing everyone trading game memes, Cyrene toyed with the pink crystal ball and smiled. I am one life Cyrene, you know. Using Demug's omnipotent creation for an artifact that falls under the scepter's scope shouldn't be outrageous, right? She said lightly. The entire world belongs to me. Where does the concept of copyright fees come from? So hurry up and accept the cloth artisan, Lady Aglaia. Maybe you can weave the clothes you want. Thank you. Aglaia didn't hesitate and took the cloth artisan from Cyrene's hand. The moment it touched her palm, a rush of connection surged through her, as if a bloodline linked her to the tool, even though she'd never used one before. If lunch hadn't been waiting, she would have run home to start weaving immediately. It truly is an invaluable treasure. Aglaia, who had been the hardest to win over, suddenly had favorability that eclipsed Cypher's. She stared at Cyrene with mature, emerald eyes filled with indescribable gratitude. Realizing she'd indeed created something that mattered to Aglaia, Cyrene finally felt free to enjoy the meal in peace. If you keep looking at me like that, I'll get shy, she protested. How about we go eat first? Aglaia suggested. Don't wait. Chapter 2 hasn't been written yet, meow. It might be written in the morning, meow. 51. Fireworks. Kaze Sumire, I suggest you repay me with your body. On the way to their destination, Hyacinth watched Aglaia cradling the cloth artisan with obvious affection, a flicker of envy in her eyes. Compared to Cyrene, who could create things out of thin air, people like them were at best pseudo-Chrysos heirs. Their abilities were practically negligible. The gap between them felt enormous. Still, Hyacinth was not like my day. She wasn't after combat power. She wanted something cute, a little Ica. Well, the legendary sunny rainbow little white horse. For the sake of her memory spirit, she blushed as she leaned toward Cyrene and quietly made her request. Treasure Lian, could you help me make a little Ica? If you can, I'll do anything you ask. Oh? Cyrene didn't refuse outright, but after hearing Demug's offhand remark, she looked a little helpless. It's a bit troublesome, creating a living organism from nothing, something like an Ica, takes hundreds of times more energy than making a cloth artisan. The cloth artisan is basically an empty shell. Though it looks like the one in the game, it has no energy source of its own. Aglaia controls it, and it can't move independently. I'd really like to help, but I don't have enough power of love and wishes right now. You can think of it as my MP bar being too low to cast a creation spell. Hyacine's face fell a little. Then she thought of a certain master of biology and asked hopefully, if we could provide a living creature of similar size, would the energy cost be lower? A living creature, like an Ika? Cyrene sounded surprised. Yes. Hyacine explained, eager. Professor Anaxa is one of the world's brightest biological geniuses. Right after becoming a university professor, he started a project called the Biological Grafting Program. Biological grafting, she went on, isn't the same as plant grafting. It involves modifying genes during an animal's embryonic stage to customize how it looks after birth. Using the long-necked dragon's genome as a blueprint, he managed to breed a creature that looks exactly like the Earth Beast from the stories. Of course, these Earth Beasts still obey natural laws. They can't survive on dirt alone like in the original work. And genetically, they're not a new species. Despite their different appearance, they don't have reproductive isolation from the long-necked dragon. After listening, Cyrene brightened. She consulted Demug and then gave a definitive answer. Yes, if they had a living prototype, making the little Ika would save about 90% of the power of love and wishes. Even so, 10% still meant 2,000 or 3,000 points. If Professor Anaxa can create a Pegasus that closely resembles the little Ika, I won't have to spend as much, Cyrene said. Hyacine beamed, but she quickly caught the implication. So you still have to spend a lot of power of love and wishes? Cyrene smiled. Don't worry. If I build it up a bit longer, I can save enough. How can we help you gain power of love and wishes faster? Hyacine asked, eyes wide with expectation. Sparkle, ever eager to stir things up, chimed in. Isn't the answer obvious? The first cause of life is love, so you need to gather love. She looked at Hyacine with a teasing grin. To make Cyrene quickly collect affection, either make her fall in love with you or have you fall in love with her. As the mature Sparkle, I'll say this. The affection from a girl-to-girl friendship isn't the same quality as romantic love. So I suggest you, Hyacine, offer yourself in marriage. At Sparkle's words, everyone present flushed, Li Sushang, Aglaia, Hyacine included. Sparkle, what are you talking about? Cyrene snapped, mortified and annoyed. Could she really be discussing this aloud? Even though Sparkle's reasoning was spot on, Cyrene wasn't some villain who demanded repayment for favors. Friendship could restore power of love and wishes slowly. There was no need to escalate to romance. Don't worry, Hyacine. Once I have enough power of love and wishes, I'll definitely help you make the little Ika. Cyrene lied, insisting the points from friendship and romance were the same. There's no need for anyone to force themselves. It wouldn't be forcing, Hyacine said cheerfully. If it's Miss Cyrene, it could happen. A mischievous notification chimed inside Cyrene's head. Power of love and wishes. Keep it up. If you, as a human, maintain this momentum, you'll utterly win over this pink-haired girl in a few days. What are you saying? Cyrene scowled inwardly at Demug, who seemed delighted to have taken the path of joy. Oh dear, how rare. I didn't expect such pure anger. It's worth savoring. I must record this emotion. By the end of the exchange, Cyrene was rubbing her forehead. She'd never felt so helpless. If love is involved, can it really help you gain power of love and wishes faster? Aglaia, watching with affectionate eyes, leaned in too. Another chime. Power of love and wishes plus 100. No, absolutely not. Cyrene protested, shaking her head. She tried to be firm. The power that comes from friendship and romantic love is the same. There's no need to— Yes, everyone, don't force yourselves. Hyacine and Aglaia exchanged a look, years of tacit understanding passing between them. It seemed affection could indeed make Cyrene grow stronger quickly. A few minutes of awkward silence followed, until Sparkle, an expert at breaking tension, jumped onto a roadside stone and offered another idea. We're all new friends, she announced. To bring everyone closer, we should play a game. She gave them a conspiratorial glance and added, Does everyone want to play a game of trust? A game of trust? 52, trust game. The group didn't immediately agree to Sparkle's suggestion. Being labeled a troublemaker wasn't exactly a glowing recommendation. Sparkle looked harmless enough, an ordinary middle schooler, but everyone knew appearances could be deceiving, especially since Sparkle was a masked fool in a parallel world. Relax, relax, Sparkle laughed, seeing their hesitation. I like to joke around, sure, but I know my limits. We're all friends now. Do you really think I'd play a prank that would embarrass my friends? She added, looking wounded. Oh, Li Sushang snorted. So in the end, you just want to have fun, huh? Sparkle put on an innocent face. What's wrong with a bit of fun that makes everyone happy? Let's hear what the others think, Cyrene suggested. Sparkle fixed her with a sincere look. Ever since Cyrene had used the cloth artisan and Ikana to control Aglaia and Hyacine, she had become the most authoritative voice in the room. If Cyrene approved, the rest would follow. Castorish, Hyacine, and Aglaia would come along, and Li Degento's objections would barely matter. Fine, fine. Cyrene didn't refuse outright, but she wanted details. Tell us the rules first. Not a problem. Sparkle launched into the explanation. There are 7 of us, so we'll make 3 two-person teams and have 1 spare act as referee. In each team, we'll pick a leader and a follower. The follower wears a blindfold, and the leader has to guide them to the destination. Since the Bund is a bit far, we can take public transport, buses or the subway on the way. The first team to reach the Bund wins a prize from Lady Sparkle. It's a trust game. What do you think? Cyrene considered it and found it acceptable. This sounds fine. Everyone agree? Hyacine was first to volunteer. Okay, put Aglaia and me together. Castoris muttered, if I can't pair with Cyrene, I'll be the referee. Everyone knows I can't touch people casually. I want to be with Cyrene too, Li Sushang piped up. Let's do random pairings, otherwise it won't be fun. Sparkle shook her head. Since everyone seems to want little pink hair, we'll draw lots for fairness. All right, they chorused. A few minutes and some commotion later, the teams were decided. Cypher with Cyrene, Sparkle with Li Sushang, and Hyacine with Aglaia. Cypher, Sparkle, and Hyacine were the leaders. Cyrene, Li Sushang, and Aglaia were the followers. Castorish, having not drawn Cyrene, volunteered to be the referee. Sigh, why did I have to be stuck with Sparkle? Li Sushang grumbled, clearly displeased. The lots had been drawn by comparing dice rolls in the group chat, so unless Sparkle had hacked the back end, the draw was fair, and Li Sushang could do nothing but scowl. Sparkle, already prepared, pulled a handful of blindfolds from her pocket, ones she'd bought at the comic convention. Cyrene noticed immediately. They were the same smart eye masks as Sushang's 4 souls. Cyrene smirked inwardly. She could already imagine what was coming. Walking around like this will be embarrassing, won't it? Cyrene said. Sparkle rummaged and produced another style. If you don't like the smart eye masks, I also brought romantic gentleman eye masks. Then we'll use the smart eye masks, Cyrene replied, declining the other option. After a short internal debate, she put one on. Her vision went completely dark. Castoritz announced the start of the game. Cyrene took Cypher's small hand and followed her lead. Walking blind made everyone instinctively cautious, and their pace was slow at first, but Aglaia adapted surprisingly quickly, and she and Hyacine pulled away from the others. Come on, Shang, walk faster. Sparkle urged, tugging at Li Sushang, but Sushang was like an ox and refused to be hurried. Sparkle couldn't budge her. All she could do was watch Hyacine and Aglaia streak ahead. Fortunately, there was a bus stop not far away. Hyacine and Aglaia waited a bit for a bus, and the other teams caught up soon after. When the bus arrived, everyone climbed on. It was crowded, so Cyrene and Aglaia briefly lifted their blindfolds as they found a resting place. Li Sushang, however, kept hers on, and Sparkle steered her toward the center of the bus. When an elderly gentleman offered his seat to the blind, Li Sushang, Sparkle couldn't resist whispering, Sushang, don't take off your blindfold yet. That seat was given to you by an old grandpa. Li Sushang fell silent, then clenched her fist. That little imp really had ulterior motives. I'm actually getting used to blindfolded life. How ironic. Half an hour later, Hyacine and Aglaia were the first to reach the Bund. Aglaia went to the hotel lobby to order while Hyacine waited. A few minutes later, Cyrene and Cypher arrived, and Cyrene, taking off her blindfold, discovered they'd come in second. She hadn't been surprised to suspect Cypher might play tricks, but in the end, Cypher had done almost nothing except scratch the palm of her hand occasionally, a strangely dignified cat. After chatting with Hyacinth for a while, they finally saw Sparkle and Li Sushang still bickering and pulling at each other. The pair were clearly incompatible. Sparkle finally gave up and removed Li Sushang's blindfold, ending the contest. "Oh well, we're last anyway. No point continuing," Sparkle complained. "Ugh," Li Sushang groaned. "If Gunafin had been on my team, I'd have won for sure." 53. Silver Wolf. Huo immediately hushed everyone. "By my calculation, Gunafin should be out by now, right? She didn't really do anything bad." Li Sushang brightened the moment Gunafin's name came up. A lavish meal was coming, and she couldn't forget her friend. After getting Aglaya's permission, Sushang messaged Gunafin, who replied she'd be there soon. Half an hour later, Gunafin arrived at the hotel entrance, panting and carrying a phone stand for live streaming. Seeing Li Sushang waiting, she hurried over. "Huff, huff, Shang, I'm not late, am I?" she blurted. No, not at all." Li Sushang led her inside. "Hello, everyone." Ever affable, Gunafin slid into a seat. Despite having been arrested earlier for reckless behavior, blinded by fame and fortune, as she put it, she wasn't angry at Huo. If anything, Huo had only given her an idea. She probably would have pulled some stunt either way. Is it okay if I start a live stream?" Gunafin begged, eyes wide. "Please, I really want more followers. I'll split all the profits from the stream with everyone," she added, pitching it like a deal. Cypher rubbed her forehead. "Not again. Do we really have to live stream while we're eating? Give the kids some privacy." "How about after dinner?" Gunafin pressed on, relentlessly. They were exasperated, but finally agreed. An hour later, after a delicious lunch, the group went back to the comic convention. The crowd around Cyrene swelled as more people recognized her. That made Cyrene uncomfortable. For some, Gunafin, Huo, Li Sushang, Cypher, the day was just for fun, but other girls treated it oddly, especially when Hyacinth and Castoris discovered that affection could grant Cyrene the power of love and wishes. They clung to her, constantly offering love and wishes. It's power of love and wishes, not love points. Cyrene protested when they started treating it like a dating sim stat. They roamed the convention, hoping to unlock new characters. Unfortunately, whatever luck Cyrene had earlier that morning seemed spent. They saw lots of excellent cosplayers in the afternoon, but no genuine character encounters. By 3 p.m., seeing nothing, Cyrene suggested they spend the rest of the afternoon at the game booth. Inside the booth, a girl with Roman ring twin ponytails was stomping and pounding her chest at the screen. Opposite her sat a golden-haired boy, grinning. "Oh no, I bet wrong again," the girl fumed. "Ha ha ha!" The boy, Aventurine, stood and mocked her. "I told you, kid. Go big or go home. The last place Honey Dice beat everyone this round. My total payout is 25 times, he crowed. "Too bad I can't go all in on every dessert. I could be making a fortune." "A bet's a bet, little girl," he added, smug. The girl, Bronia, or Brony, known here as Silver Wolf, glared. She wanted to bite him, but a bet was a bet. Reluctantly, she handed her treasured wondrous item to Aventurine. At that moment, a small cat leapt onto Silver Wolf's head, making her jump. Seeing the harmless kitten, she relaxed. It was, of course, Ki Meow Meow. "Meow meow meow. Look, it's Bronia from this world," the cat chirped. "Meow meow meow. Hiss! She really looks exactly like Bronia as a child." Another chirp followed. "I know she's Bronia," someone muttered. Cyrene walked over and scooped up Chi Meow Meow as she pawed at Silver Wolf's hair. "Excuse me, Miss Silver Wolf, my cat is a bit mischievous," she said. Silver Wolf didn't answer at first. She examined Chi Meow Meow carefully. After a moment, she made a surprised sound. "Huh, that face. Could she be Kiana?" Cyrene blinked. "You can tell that? Why not?" Silver Wolf's usually childish features took on a steadier expression. Even as a cat, her face has human-like traits. It's not hard to recognize her true origin. "Such as?" Cyrene asked, puzzled. Silver Wolf sighed. "For one, a plain sort of dopey look, an expression I've only seen on someone I know." Chi Meow Meow had originally jumped on Silver Wolf to scratch her, but upon hearing that the other knew the location of her counterpart, she became frantic. She chattered at Cyrene. "Meow meow meow. Cyrene, didn't you say if we can get my counterpart's DNA, we could use most of the power of love and wishes to make a body for me?" Ask this Bronya where that person is. Realizing how important this was, Cyrene put the question directly. Silver Wolf, where is the Kiana counterpart you mentioned? Silver Wolf glanced between Cyrene and the cat. She'd already deduced they could communicate, and it was obvious the counterpart mattered deeply to Chi Meow Meow. She crossed her arms. If you want the address, help me win back the spirit of Punk Lord from Aventurine. Aventurine, still smirking nearby, chuckled at the spectacle. Looks like another good show is about to start, doesn't it? 54. Outwitting gambling with Aventurine? That was a bold choice. Cyrene glanced at the elegantly dressed young nobleman standing before her. Getting Kiana's location out of him now seemed unlikely, but Chi Meow Meow's hopeful face left her no real choice but to try something else. Can I trade it for another wondrous item? Cyrene asked. She'd already got a world-class wondrous item. Crafting ordinary wondrous items cost her only a few Ayuan points. Compared to taking a gamble against Aventurine, she preferred the old-fashioned certainty of a trade. Aventurine, malachite eyes studying the group, inclined his head with courtly calm. All right, but I have one more condition. What condition? Cyrene prompted. Let's have a match. Win or lose, I'll return this young lady's wondrous item. If I lose, I'll give you a new wondrous item. How about that? That's a generous deal. Before Cyrene could reply, Silver Wolf cut in, blurting, It's a deal. Then she moved behind Cyrene and nudged her waist. Hurry up and compete with him. Chi Meow Meow snorted in complaint at Silver Wolf's shamelessness. Meow, 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 as expected of Bronya when she was young, truly despicable. It sounded like old wounds flaring up, and Cyrene suppressed a smile. She walked to the arcade machine. Aventurine had promised to return Silver Wolf's wondrous item regardless, so a little contest wouldn't hurt. Dimug, is there any way to beat him? She asked quietly. Dimug replied, It's quite difficult. If humans in reality had skill panels, this person Aventurine's passive would read, In a gamble, the lower the probability of a chosen option, the higher its chance to win in the final settlement. Wait, so for Aventurine, lower success rate equals higher actual probability? Cyrene frowned. Something like that, Dimug answered. Cyrene hesitated. If he always skewed outcomes toward the long odds, how could she win? Then an idea clicked. Maybe there was a way to outwit him. A few minutes later, the game began, a frantic obstacle race called Dessert Pastry Dash. Players could cheer and bet desserts on their chosen cat pastry. If the cat pastry finished first or second, the player's desserts would return multiplied several times over. 5 cat pastries appeared on the screen, each with different abilities. Aventurine picked Honey Dice, his own creation, its random movement steps perfectly matching his taste. Cyrene chose Trash Pastry. Trash Pastry's unique trait, it wouldn't be stunned by the item Trash Bag. Instead, the item temporarily increased its movement speed. Cyrene's plan was simple. Honey Dice's steps were purely random. Trash Pastry excelled with items and on flat terrain. In the first round, the course was mostly flat, with few obstacles or water bubbles, making it ideal for Trash Pastry to dominate if she used items cleverly. She could throw a trash bag at both pastries at the same time. Honey Dice would be slowed or disrupted by the item, while Trash Pastry would get a burst of speed. Advantage, hers. 3, 2, 1, go. The pastries bounced forward. Cyrene kept hurling items. Trash Pastry surged ahead as Honey Dice lagged, and the favored Trash Pastry won the first round handily. Because Trash Pastry had performed so dominantly, its multiplier dropped to 4.7x for the next round, while Honey Dice's climbed to 7x. Still, everyone watching could see Trash Pastry was the likely winner, even if it only finished second. In the second round, Cyrene doubled down on Trash Pastry. Aventurine stuck with Honey Dice. Trash Pastry won again. After 2 rounds, Cyrene's desserts had grown to a 9.7x return, while Aventurine found himself at minus 2x. Before the final round, Trash Pastry's multiplier stayed at 4.7x, but Honey Dice's long-shot multiplier had ballooned to 12x. If Cyrene continued betting Trash Pastry, Aventurine still had a chance. A Honey Dice victory could pull him back from the negative. To block that comeback, Cyrene waited for Aventurine to place his bet first. When he confirmed he'd bet on Honey Dice, Cyrene quietly mirrored him and placed her own bet on Honey Dice. It was the kind of move that forced the game into a binary outcome. No matter which pastry won, her lead would hold. Honey Dice made a dramatic comeback and took first place. Aventurine's total swung from minus 2x up to 10x, but Cyrene's total climbed to 19.7x. A hush, then applause. It had been a cleverly fought match. Silver Wolf clapped enthusiastically. Aventurine smiled, a complex expression that might have been rueful or resigned. It was hard to tell. In any case, Cyrene had won decisively. She cleared her throat, slightly embarrassed despite the victory. Although Trash Pastry's winning rate had topped 90% at one point, I bet on Honey Dice as well to prevent Aventurine from staging a comeback. That way, whether Honey Dice won or lost, my lead would be fixed and comfortably higher than his. Aventurine spread his hands, half amused, half admitting defeat. I never thought my always win streak would be broken like this. A bet is a bet. Since you lost, take this Aventurine stone. He handed over a golden stone. Cyrene examined it. It was attractive. Wearing this Aventurine stone boosts your luck, Aventurine said with a smile. It has many uses. For example, when pulling from Honkai Star Rail's banners, when you hit pity, there's a very high chance the guaranteed character won't be a standard one. Silverwolf's eyes went green at once. The sarcastic expression drained from her face. She lunged at Cyrene, all impatience and excitement. Cyrene was quicker. She slipped the Aventurine stone back into the world with a tiny gesture, and the little wolf cub landed in her arms instead. "Oh dear, Miss Silver Wolf, being so impatient won't do," Cyrene teased, chuckling as she held the not very heavy silver wolf. She couldn't help laughing when she saw the cub's listless, deadpan look of having been thoroughly indulged. "I didn't cry or make a scene. I didn't cry or make a scene. Please, this thing is really important to me." Seeing Cyrene's hands empty and realizing the Aventurine had been tucked into an interdimensional pocket, Silver Wolf practically shoved herself into Cyrene's path. "I'll trade you my Punklord spirit for it." The Punklord spirit can convert the values of real-world objects into data. It can make reality as playable as a game. Doesn't that sound way more fun than gacha games? Silver Wolf pleaded. Not really. Cyrene refused. She personally thought the Punklord spirit's effect didn't compare to the Aventurine. Data visualization didn't actually turn the world into a game, and if she had money, Demug could pull off something similar anyway. Besides, if real-life gameplay were truly more fun than phone games, why would Silver Wolf be offering to trade? Clearly, this legendary stone that guaranteed no pity pulls was worth more than 10 Punklord spirits combined. Ah! Silver Wolf let out a high shriek and then, shamelessly, rolled on the ground. "Please, give it to me. I'll do anything." Sigh, you, Silver Wolf, always thinking about yourself. Cyrene watched her wallow, more distraught than if 76 accounts had been banned, and still didn't hand over the Aventurine. Maybe it would boost Silver Wolf's favorability, but seeing how ungracious she could be, colder than a purple catworm, Cyrene suspected she wouldn't even be thankful. I'll keep it for now. "Silver Wolf, don't cry and make a fuss," Cyrene said, then helped her up with a smile. "I wasn't crying and making a fuss," Silver Wolf pouted stubbornly. Miss Silver Wolf, remember to keep your promise," Cyrene teased, pinching the pufferfish roundness of Silver Wolf's face. "If you behave, I might even lend you the Aventurine stone." Silver Wolf brightened in an instant. "Can I borrow it right now?" "Just a few minutes. As soon as I finish my pulls, I'll tell you where she is." "All right." Silver Wolf's request was reasonable, so Cyrene agreed and handed over the Aventurine. Silver Wolf didn't waste a second. She opened every gacha game on her phone and poured in all the pulls she'd been saving. As for the result, the satisfied smile on the usually stoic girl's face said it all. She could be that happy even without getting off pity. "Damn, miHoYo, what have you done to Silver Wolf?" After a while, though, Silver Wolf still hadn't returned the stone. Cyrene put on the smile her younger sister, Little Erosion, often used. "Miss Silver Wolf, if you play dirty, I have 1,000 ways to make you regret it." "Wah!" Silver Wolf took 2 steps back, startled. "Wait, you're not Alicia. Who are you?" "I'm Cyrene." Cyrene rolled her eyes, then plucked the Aventurine out of Silver Wolf's tightly clenched hand. "All right, now tell me where the other Chi Meow Meow is." Silver Wolf relented. "Okay, room 301, 3rd floor, building XXX apartment, X Street. Oh, by the way, she's a Kiana counterpart, but a little different from the one next to you." "How different?" Cyrene asked. Well, she's kind of tsundere, but also as dumb and lazy as Kiana. And, oh, why are you biting me, you cat? Silver Wolf shrieked as a sharp bite landed on her calf mid-sentence. Chi Meow Meow had evidently taken offense and chomped down hard. Silver Wolf curled down, rubbing the red teeth marks on her leg, while Cyrene shook her head. Who would have thought Chi Meow Meow would bicker like a child, though Silver Wolf had been vicious with her words? When the pain eased, Silver Wolf stood and added resentfully, "One more thing. Actually, she has the same birthday as you, today." The same day? Cyrene was puzzled. Isn't Kiana's birthday December 7th? Even Siren's is around June 23rd. How could it be the same day as mine? Meow? Oh, you actually remember my birthday clearly? Meow Meow tilted her head. Silver Wolf shook her head. I don't know the details. As a Honkai scholar, Cyrene was genuinely curious. She pulled out her phone, logged into the MiHoYo community, and, with the help of other senior Honkai fans, discovered that November 11th was indeed the birthday of a certain Kiana counterpart. The name was chokingly grand, Hersher of the Void. The Hersher of the Void's origin was messy to explain. In short, the Hersher of the Void was made of Siren's consciousness, combined with a clone of Kiana Kaslana, while the Chi Meow Meow beside her was Siren's consciousness merged with Kiana's body. The Hersher represented Siren's malice. The deified Kiana represented Siren's benevolence. They were two sides of the same Kiana Kaslana, closer than ordinary counterparts. Given Silver Wolf's earlier description of her as an idiot, Cyrene could guess the Hersher's fan name. Could she be Aquan? Silver Wolf offered. Yes, she confirmed. Meow? Who's Aquan? Chi Meow Meow asked, confused. She hadn't been in this world long and didn't know much about Honkai Impact 3rd fan creations. To explain, Cyrene opened Honkai Impact 3rd on her phone and showed it to Chi Meow Meow. You know the Hersher of the Void, right? Meow. My past self? Of course I know. You know the Spring Elf skin for the Hersher, right? Meow. That skin's pretty. Too bad she never wore it. And the fan creation for Spring Elf is Aquan. Cyrene then pulled up Bilibili and typed Aquan into the search bar. The results were mostly images of a white-haired, gold-eyed character who looked 9/10 like Kiana, making exaggerated faces. Meow Meow Meow? A Hersher of the Void who can rival Alicia in plumpness? I thought I ate a lot, but I can't get that fat. How much does she have to eat? Chi Meow Meow sniffed, puzzled. I wouldn't know, Cyrene said, smiling. Author's note, Sigh, let me explain why there's only one update. The simple truth. The book flopped. The topic was too realistic. Passion doesn't pay the bills, oh. Keeping the book from being canceled is already my limit. Sorry, my writing isn't great. 56. Kiana and Aquan. In the imaginary universe, every galaxy is its own world. Between any two different worlds, there are always two people who are similar but not identical, counterparts. The relationship between counterparts is like another version of oneself. For example, Bronia from Honkai Impact 3rd and Brony from Sea of Quanta, Silver Wolf from Honkai Star Rail, Alicia from Honkai Impact 3rd's previous era and Alicia from the Elysian Realm, and Kiana and Aquan. Their personalities can be close or wildly different, but their essences are alike. If you had to pick one as a partner, most people would think, I want them all. Both versions have their own charm. Cyrene was very curious about Aquan, a counterpart who differed in some ways from Kiana. According to Silver Wolf, Aquan didn't exercise much in her daily life. She was a beautiful girl, but her weight might be over 50 kilograms. Reality wasn't anime. If a pretty girl weighed 50 kilos, her stomach would certainly be softer. Cyrene didn't mind. A little extra weight meant fewer visible abs, sure, but it also meant more flesh in other places. Beauty couldn't be measured by a number alone. Chubby could be cute. After almost a full day wandering the comic convention and trying every interesting event, Cyrene felt there was nothing left to do. With time to spare before Star Treasure and her friends finished school, she decided to visit Miss Aquan. Guinefin and Li Sushang weren't ready to leave. Their live stream at the convention was still going, so they stayed. Seifer, Hyacine, Aglaya, and Hanyu felt the same. Aquan's home probably couldn't fit so many guests anyway. In the end, only Castoris, Silver Wolf, and Cyrene set out. They added each other on WeChat, said their goodbyes, and Cyrene began the trip to find Aquan. Shanghai Rainbow Bridge Airport. Phew, we finally made it to Shanghai City. Dizzy and pale, Pardo leaned on the gangway railing as she disembarked. Eden had already dashed down. After waiting for Pardo a moment, Eden helped her into a car and they rushed nonstop toward the CP exhibition. Oh, Sister Eden, please let me rest a bit. Pardo panted. She'd suffered air sickness, then car sickness, and now the long walk had left her exhausted. Pardo suspected Eden had guessed something earlier. Otherwise, their destination wouldn't be so specific. Her earlier coordinates hadn't been precise enough to point to the CP exhibition. At 4 in the afternoon, they arrived and Eden scanned the crowd sharply, searching. After passing dozens of Alicia and Xilian cosplayers and spotting almost as many pink-haired girls as possible, Eden still hadn't found the surprise Pardo had mentioned. She shot Pardo a suspicious look. Hey Pardo, where's this surprise you told me about? It's not like I said anything before, Sister Eden. Are you really sure I brought you here to find her? Isn't it obvious? Eden smiled. You showed me the cosplay video, didn't you? Yeah, Pardo said slowly. Even then I wondered whether Vilvi's parallel space theory could be true. Eden's face grew resolute. Even if I don't fully believe that theory, if she exists, I'm willing to believe. And if she exists, then her appearing here today is inevitable. Oh, you're being romantic. Pardo stuck out her lip. If that pink-haired girl saw how devoted you are, she'd probably be scared stiff. She won't, Eden said confidently. They stopped a passerby. The momento the fan realized the person approaching them was Eden herself, he was flustered and asked for an autograph. Eden took the chance to ask if anyone had seen a Xilian cosplayer with perfect accuracy at the convention. The fan said yes, he'd seen such a cosplayer, but couldn't point her out now. He did, however, remember that Xilian had interacted with Gunafin, who was still streaming not far away, about 2 hours earlier. With that clue, Eden and Pardo headed for Gunafin, Aquan's residence ding-dong. Aquan, lounging on the sofa watching videos, shifted to get more comfortable. She was a little puzzled. Huh, who's at the door? I don't remember expecting a delivery or takeout. Bella, go open it, she called to her servant, then went back to her tablet. Yes, Your Majesty. Bella abandoned the unwashed vegetables she had been holding, wiped her hands, and rushed to the door. Through the peephole, she saw a group of girls with different styles and, still puzzled, opened the door. Are you friends of Her Majesty? Bella asked. Xilian was the first to speak. She froze when she saw Bella's vertical, snake-like pupils, unexpected but not threatening. Something like that, she said. At that moment, Ki Meow Meow, Xilian's cat, leaped from Xilian, landed on Bella's head, and bounded into the house. After circling the room once, the cat jumped onto the sofa and froze in front of Aquan. The feline's reaction was instantaneous and loud. Meow! 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 This young lady has finally found her counterpart, the cat seemed to announce. Aquan stared at the cat for a beat, then at the visitors. Huh, Bella, whose cat is this? Hearing Aquan's question, Xilian introduced herself and gave a quick explanation. Hello, Bella. I'm Xilian, a friend of Kiana's. My friend has some health issues and needs Miss Aquan's help. You know Kiana, right? She's Aquan's counterpart. Isomer? After a long moment of thought, Bella finally understood the term. In chemistry, compounds that share the same molecular formula but have different structures are called isomers. Kiana and Aquan could be said to share the same molecular formula, that is, the same genetic sequence, even though their outward forms differed. Bella glanced at Chi Meow Meow on the sofa. Absurd as it sounded, the cat's face did bear a faint resemblance to Her Majesty. The similarity stopped at the eyes. Chi Meow Meow's blue gaze lacked the queen's golden majesty. Whatever the likeness, the cat's loyalty to the queen was absolute. Bella refused to treat Chi Meow Meow as another queen. Still, she couldn't agree to Xilian's request. I'm sorry. Her Majesty dislikes going out. She probably can't help with this. No, she doesn't have to go out. We only need to extract her gene sequence from her DNA. Xilian motioned. Gene sequence? Bella bristled and looked at Xilian sharply. What do you want Her Majesty's gene sequence for? Xilian, unwilling to lie, explained her plan. She wanted to build a body based on Aquan's genes, a vessel in which Kiana's consciousness could be placed. So you want to clone Her Majesty? Bella recoiled. Cloning the queen was something she couldn't accept. Still, she wasn't the decision-maker and couldn't stop the queen's affairs by fiat. Dutifully, Bella went over to Aquan and relayed the request. Huh? Aquan blinked. You said she's Kiana, and you want to use this queen's genes to construct a body? Doesn't the law in Shenzhou specifically prohibit human cloning? Right. How could anyone view these protagonists the same way they would ordinary people? Cyrene added, almost defensively. Aquan's gaze left Chi Miao Miao as she pushed herself up from the sofa. Slipping on her slippers, she padded to the door and brightened when she saw Cyrene standing there. Oh, aren't you Alicia? It's Cyrene, Cyrene corrected, a little helplessly. Aquan wasn't the first person to mistake her for Alicia, and she wouldn't be the last. Alicia and Cyrene looked very similar, and in her current ethereal state, Cyrene's manner had a touch of Alicia's charm. But she was Cyrene, not Demug, not the ripple of the past. Her true name was Cyrene. Despite the correction, Aquan grew excited. A homebody at heart, she loved gaming. As an alternate version of a 3-collapse player character, she had certainly played that game. Seeing the girl in front of her, who matched the newly released Alicia battlesuit about 90%, Aquan inspected Cyrene like a fan meeting an idol. Tsk, you really do look alike. There's even a theory going around that Earth is itself a world inside the imaginary tree, Aquan mused. No smoke without fire, I guess. Cyrene's thoughts drifted with her. Increasingly, people were discovering alternate versions of anime characters in the real world. Had those characters appeared because they had always existed somewhere, or had they been born from the choices she made? The question nagged at her, but one thing was clear. Reality had already begun to veer away from ordinary expectation and was hurtling in an unknown direction. Shaking off the thought, Cyrene smiled at the not-so-majestic young woman before her. So, Miss Aquan, could I ask a small favor? Dear? Aquan's face flushed. Years as a shut-in had not prepared her for Cyrene's casual intimacy. Cyrene realized Aquan wasn't the Hersher of the Void in temperament. She was easy to talk to, so she pressed her advantage. Just a tiny sample of somatic cells is all I need. If you want anything in return, just say the word. Don't talk like that. Aquan hesitated, then found her voice. What kind of somatic cells do you need? Cyrene felt awkward answering directly about the specifics required for cloning. She decided to defer to Miss Herta. As a genius, Herta should be able to replicate Aquan without needing an egg cell, right? With Aquan's tentative consent, Cyrene planned to take her to see Herta. For some reason, however, Cyrene's messages to Herta's friend account went unanswered. She worried for a heartbeat. Had something happened, but quickly dismissed the fear. Herta was the sort of person who could be completely absorbed in an experiment and simply ignore her phone. A reasonable explanation. Let's go to the space station to see Miss Herta, Cyrene declared, gathering Aquan and small follower Bella and setting off once more. Half an hour later, Eden and Pardo were at Aquan's door, knocking. There was no answer. This is bad, Sister Eden. The clue keeps slipping away. Pardo's face was a bitter gourd. From dawn until now, she had spent almost all her time in transit and tracking, and she was exhausted. No matter how diligently she searched, she was always one step behind. Could it be that Sister Eden and Sister Alicia simply weren't fated to meet? No, that was impossible. Fate was just teasing them. Eden pressed a hand to her forehead in frustration. Why don't we ask Sister Aponia? Pardo suggested. Sister Aponia understands fate best. Eden had no better option. Her partner was thousands of miles away in Western Europe. In a pure white church, a woman in a black and white nun's habit prayed with her eyes closed. She had seen threads of inevitable fate, but lately those threads were fraying and shifting. Fate, once so certain, had grown elusive. Could their destinies be rewritten? She bowed her head a moment longer, then slowly opened her eyes. The mist in her gaze held a touch of disorientation, but also resolve. The fluctuations of fate were growing stronger, and she would not hide from them. After some deliberation, Aponia chose to face destiny directly. Two equally free birds, guided by the threads of fate, will eventually meet. Cyrene encountered something incredible. The closer she got to the Herta space station, the more violently one of her fate lines fluctuated. After checking, she realized that the line corresponded to the fear line. Herta feared her? That couldn't be right. Demug, after all, was the sort of program that exaggerated the intensity of others' emotions for dramatic effect. So what showed up as fear was probably at most apprehension. Still, Herta was a pink fairy who had always been gentle. What about Cyrene could possibly be frightening? She found a little Herta on duty. This one lounged with a lazy, almost contemptuous air and spoke in a childlike voice that was subtly different from the Herta Cyrene knew. The system allowed the Herta to log in to any little Herta at will and operate it remotely. In everyday life, telling a little Herta a guest's request was as good as telling the Herta herself. From the way the little Herta reacted, Cyrene suspected that the Herta had known about her visit for some time and might be watching from the back end. Curiosity won out. If Herta really was apprehensive around her, Cyrene wanted to know why. She asked the question straight on. The little Herta's face lit up with exaggerated interest. She cough. The great Miss Herta actually has someone she fears in this world? Tell me everything. Before Cyrene could answer, the expression snapped shut. Don't say such strange things, especially in front of a little Herta. The shift in tone told Cyrene what she needed to know. Herta had logged in. Cyrene grinned. Heh, just kidding, but Miss Herta, could you enlighten me? The puppet's expression softened, then reverted to that careful, measured voice Cyrene recognized when Herta took over. After a pause, Herta replied, cryptic and cool. A genius is not meant to be burdened by worldly affairs, she said. Getting involved with someone whose color is too vivid is simply troublesome. Cyrene blinked. Worldly affairs? Color? How did any of that explain fear of her? She mentally pinged Demug. Herta probably means that you cause her emotions to fluctuate, but her personality makes her resist such feelings, right? Demug answered in its usual curt way. Don't ask me every difficult question. Feel it out yourself. Cyrene thought it over. Maybe Herta was unnerved by what Cyrene represented, the way her presence stirred emotions Herta preferred not to have. Understanding that was one thing. Getting Herta to do anything about it was another. Cyrene decided to be bold. Herta, she said, trying for casual, today's my coming-of-age ceremony. Would you celebrate my birthday with me tonight? The little Herta, or rather Herta speaking through a little Herta, gave a cool businesslike reply. Sure, let this puppet currently speaking to you accompany you. Big Herta, you can't come yourself? Cyrene tried for a disappointed pout. I like the little Herta, but I'd much rather have the big Herta. Could you come along? The Herta has her own matters to attend to. I will not be coming, came the blunt answer. Also, do not misuse the word like. The voice shifted again, sliding back into the earlier disdainful tone. Cyrene was not satisfied. The little Herta confirmed that the Herta was indeed somewhere on the station, but after an hour of searching the not very large facility, she couldn't find her. Clearly, Herta was avoiding her. As students finished classes and the station filled with people, an idea occurred to Cyrene. Why not hold the birthday party right here at the Herta space station? The little Herta was more than willing to help and could summon other little Hertas. If enough little Hertas pitched in, they could throw a grand party, even if it went against the Herta's personal wishes. The little Herta made a call. 60, then 80% of the little Hertas responded, save for a few timid ones. They were rebellious in their way, but fanatical about Herta. They wanted to host a perfect celebration in her name. Cyrene added the little Herta as a friend and began calling her own. Gwynathan, Sushang, Aglaya, Cypher. She invited them to bring their friends too, though she made a mental note not to summon all of the 13 gold descendants at once. Aglaya replied that Phanon, Maide, and Anaxa would be absent, but would send blessings. Cypher, however, brought up Professor Anaxa's continued fascination with Cyrene's ability to replicate Amphorius's creations. He hoped she could make him a real earth beast, and insisted he would pay any price. By early evening, the preparations were done. The Herta space station was draped in colorful lights and decorations. A bold pink banner reading "Happy Birthday, Cyrene" hung over the central control platform. Little Hertas scurried everywhere. One incoming guest with orange hair was even live streaming the setup. The atmosphere was loud, bright, and gleefully over the top. Cyrene realized that this in itself told her something. Herta had tacitly permitted the party. If she truly disliked Cyrene, she would have used her access to corral the little Hertas and eject the celebration. Allowing them to run free, suggested Herta didn't fear Cyrene as a person so much as she feared the way Cyrene affected her, the emotions Cyrene stirred that Herta could not comfortably accept. Sigh, Cyrene murmured, rubbing the head of a little Herta by her side. Maybe Herta was afraid she'd fall in love with her. A little Herta piped up, voice bright and conspiratorial. You have a point. After all, Miss Herta is still very young and can be influenced by hormones. Ooh, dee-dee-dee-da-da! System error! System error! Herta, who had been nearby and speaking through the puppet, immediately covered her mouth. Cyrene laughed and shook her head. That was the answer she'd been looking for. Tsundere. 59 Kiana, because the little Hertas had acted up, Herta sent almost all of them down to the lab. Only a few stayed behind to keep order. The experimental subject was, unsurprisingly, Miss Aquan. Half an hour later, aided by nanobots, Aquan's genes had been successfully replicated. Herta explained the options. If Kiana needed a body immediately, she could create an adult body right away. However, because the cells would be artificially accelerated, that body would only live for a single day. After that, another replication would be impossible for a month. If there was no rush, they could let the embryo develop more naturally before accelerating it. That way, the resulting body's lifespan would be much longer. Chi Miao Miao instantly declared she needed a body today. She'd been stuck in a cat's body too long and desperately wanted to feel human again. Also, it was Cyrene's coming-of-age ceremony, and she wanted to show her appreciation. Cyrene had learned from the little Herta that cloning required both somatic cells and egg cells from Aquan, so they'd have to wait for Aquan's next ovulation to do it the proper way. 1 month? She echoed in surprise. Aquan's face flushed a little. Well, technically, in this world I'd be Kiana's mother in a sense. Cyrene blinked. Then the original world Kiana is also. She trailed off and then summarized aloud. So Kiana would have 3 moral mothers? Chi Miao Miao waved a paw dismissively. Meow meow meow, her eyes imploring. Cyrene somehow knew the meaning. That didn't count. A physiological mother and a true mother were different things. Then, tilting her head with kitten curiosity, she asked whether Aquan's mother was Cecilia and her father Siegfried. Cyrene relayed the question. Aquan confirmed it. Chi Miao Miao's eyes went wide. Meow meow meow. She wanted to go meet them tomorrow. Even if Cecilia wasn't the mother from her original world, she was still curious. Cyrene smiled and stroked the cat's head. I'll go with you, she promised. A familiar voice cut across the conversation. Ah, one day without you, Treasure Lian, and I missed you so much. Before Cyrene could react, the gray-haired girl had leapt forward, hugged her tightly, then let go. Star Treasure had finished school and arrived at the space station. Behind Star, Xi scowled in her usual way, while March 7th bounced along cheerily. Little Erosion, however, complained loudly. She'd fallen into a mental trap. As a top student, she'd finished all her high school courses already and could get into university without setting foot in class, so attending school had felt pointless. A day of Shenzhou school had convinced her how foolish that was. It's okay, Cyrene said with a warm smile to Little Erosion. Ever since she discovered Little Erosion didn't actually dislike her, her fondness for the tsundere younger sister had only grown, though it had always been high to begin with. March 7th stared at Cyrene curiously. She said. The Cyrene before them was the same girl she lived with every day, but something was off. She seemed taller. Star noticed it too. Where Cyrene used to reach only to Star's face, now she was almost the same height. Don't ask, just say it's fairy magic. Cyrene laughed, then added more seriously that she was now one soul Cyrene. But even as she explained, she realized something else. The person she associated with lust didn't match the Star she knew. She could feel the figure getting closer, but looking through the list of cleared suspects, Sparkle, Ganefan, Li Sushang, Aglaya, Seifer, Hyacine, she couldn't pinpoint who it was. Cyrene's mouth puffed out in exasperation. Lust was tangled up with fear and disgust. Even if the intensity was lower, it was still lust, and she decided firmly that when the person representing lust arrived, she would raise her staff and cast fairy magic to cleanse the indecent thoughts from their mind. The crowd at the space station kept growing as guests were allowed to bring friends. Familiar faces and a few new ones appeared. Asta's counterpart Herta had been searching for, Huohuo with her Lord Tail, and Argenti, who'd come to sing the praises of the pure beauty. Wow, it's really getting lively, Sparkle sighed, skipping over to Cyrene. Oh, little pink hair, good evening, Sparkle teased. I didn't expect your popularity to be this enormous, pulling so many experts together. Isn't that little gray hair over there? Your old flame Firefly is here. Are you going to explain things to her? Star shot back, glaring at Sparkle. What do you mean, old flame? Sparkle scoffed. Even in the original world, Firefly and I were just normal friends. Don't get lost in fan fiction. Star struck a melodramatic pose. I, Star, Akavili, who embarked on the journey, will only be loyal to Xi Lian in this life. Cyrene regarded her with mock helplessness. All right, I know you love me the most. Come here, let me give you a little flower. She waved her staff, and with a flick of fairy magic, placed a pink flower crown on Star's head. It still didn't feel prominent enough, so Cyrene spent dozens of love wishes to conjure a pink bewitching cap for Star. This is too comical, Star protested when she glimpsed herself in a mirror. It looks great, Cyrene said cheerfully. Are you really that upset with a little cap that represents me? Not upset, just surprised. Star pouted, but after a little coaxing, reluctantly let Cyrene set the cap in place. At that moment, the little herda returned to report that Chi Miao Miao's temporary body had been cultivated. Chi Miao Miao darted off to the lab. 10 minutes later, a girl with long white hair and purple eyes stepped out, flawless as if painted into being. Cyrene looked at the new Kiana and breathed, so beautiful. 60. Raiden Mei Kiana Kaslana, the heroine of Honkai Gakuen 2 and Honkai Impact 3rd. With the perfect beauty of a moon goddess, she's the Kaslana family's most outstanding Honkai energy adapter, the predestined Hersher of the End across every world line, and on paper, the most perfect human. Grand as that sounds, strip away the myth and the titles, and Kiana is just an 18-year-old girl. How clever are 18-year-olds? Not stupid, but still easy to fool. Cyrene held Kiana's soft hand and didn't want to let go. Maybe it was her imagination, but Cyrene always felt that Kiana gave off a strong two-dimensional vibe, like a character who'd stepped out of a game. Kiana, she blurted, I really like you. Kiana gave a helpless smile. She knew how Cyrene would explain it, something like the affection a little girl has for a doll, or the fondness a pet owner has for their cat. Flirting without commitment, however, needed to be called out. Don't say things like that casually, Kiana said, dead serious. If someone takes it seriously, you'll have to be responsible. Cyrene laughed and let go. I wasn't serious. Kiana, don't you still like May? My feelings for her aren't the same as what I feel for you. Kiana blinked at Cyrene, then brightened. A girl in the crowd caught her eye, an uncanny spitting image of Acheron from the game. Kiana dragged her forward. See? You'd think this was the May from the game. The girl's hair color aside, she was practically identical to a young Raiden May in figure, looks, and temperament. Kiana turned to her with a grin. Come on, May. Be honest. Are we best friends? And does Cyrene have an official canon partner? The girl who'd been called May hesitated. She watched Kiana and Cyrene for a long moment, then shook her head. I don't know. I only learned a moment ago that homologs might be real. She looked embarrassed. All I can say for sure is that I've just met you. We aren't friends yet. Kiana's expression fell. Ugh, May, you're so heartless. But I guess, to you, we really are strangers. Cyrene, by contrast, was amazed. She hadn't expected to find a May homologue among a friend's acquaintances. Even if this Raiden May wasn't the original from the intrinsic world like Kiana, that made little difference. She was still May. Excuse me, may I ask your full name? Are you Raiden May or Acheron? Raiden May, the girl answered. Half a month ago, you might have called me Kitashin May, but because of my father, our Kitashin family changed our surname to Raiden. Cyrene blinked. That was unexpected. Shouldn't Raiden May, like Cyrene or March 7th, have origins outside the divine realm and some distinctive given name? Yet here her name matched the original exactly. Cyrene voiced her confusion. Raiden May tilted her head, studying Cyrene for a beat. You're not Alicia or Demug. You're really Cyrene, Xi Lian. The name landed between them oddly formal and intimate. Cyrene was speechless. That's kind of strange, Raiden May added after a moment, but it makes sense somehow. Unreasonable. March 7th suddenly piped up, irritable. Do you know how much I was ridiculed for my old name? What was your old name? Raiden May asked, curious. March 7th shook her head and scowled. I don't even want to say. Raiden May nodded to Serene. I was invited by a friend to your birthday party. It's nice to meet you. Happy birthday, Serene. Thank you, Serene smiled. You know, May, you're the first person who actually wished me a happy birthday today. Really? Raiden Mai returned the smile. Then I'm honored. Should we add each other as friends? Serene asked, shyly. My pleasure, May accepted. Watching the easy rapport pull Cyrene in, Stella and Kiana bristled. After a glance between them, they formed an unspoken alliance, the Anti-May Alliance. Reluctant though they were to admit it, a May with Raiden's personality naturally resonated with Cyrene's wavelength. Look how eager Cyrene was with May. She'd never acted that way with anyone else. Meanwhile, the whole exchange had already been live-streamed by Guinefin and was blowing up online. Damn, MiHoYo lied to us, so Alicia actually has a real-life model. What model? She's clearly a homologue. Did you hear? Her name's Cyrene, not Alicia, not Mimi Demug, just Cyrene. Who cares what she's called? She's mine. Why is your wife flirting with other girls? Love May forever. I May cult. Kime are the true path. No matter what you say, Kime are just Alicia's harem. That Kiana looks so pathetic. According to Guinefin's sketchy report, this Kiana is the protagonist from the 3 collapse player on our phones. Really? I can just about accept the homologue theory, but a character stepping into reality? That's too wild. Guinefin's news is usually fake anyway. Old fans are used to it. But for some reason, Kiana looks kind of real. I can't tell why.